everybody, this is Smashing Game Time. That's right, Smashing Game Time. We are three brothers that talk about gaming. You couldn't see my fingers if you're watching the video version. Three brothers that talk about gaming. Now, some of you watching might be like, but there's only two of you. Yes, Jake is out today. Jake recently just moved across the country, so he is basically living in a box right now, unpacking other boxes. But I am Nick Fat Knight on Twitch. That over there, I'm pointing the wrong way. That is Josh.
You can find me at I'm Josh Sang.
He's Josh Sang. I still hate that name.
I love it.
So if you haven't heard yet, we are breaking up the years into littler pieces because covering a full year in a whole episode, was getting to be a bit much. Last week we did January through March of 2008. This week we'll be doing, what is it?
June.
April through June, which was kind of a banger period for 2008. But I digress. Before we get into that, Josh, what have you been up to this week?
Dude, I've been trying to take care of stuff, adulting, the hard stuff.
Oh God, adulting. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of it this week.
So I went up to Chicago on Thursday. So we went up Thursday morning. We left here at 5:30. We got up to Chicago around 11 for my orthodontics appointment. And then the rest of the trip was just like seeing people from when we lived up there. And then we left. So we saw like people from like during my time in the theater in Chicago, we saw people from where I used to work in college athletics. And then Friday night, we were like, fuck it, we're leaving. We're just going to drive back down, and we're kind of been back. So Thursday night, though, we stayed in an Airbnb, and this was the creepiest, most haunted looking Airbnb I've ever been in. I don't know if you saw the photos. I don't know if I posted them to the group or not, but you pull up and the house is like in a corner by itself. Like you have to like make a bunch of left turns in a neighborhood. It's on a dead end gravel road. It's yellow. It looks a little run down. The people who own it decided to light it with green lights to make it stand out more. Fucking eerie when you're pulling up in the middle of the night. You get inside. It's a mix of like old hardwood, and then like some rooms have like a green and white carpet, and all the furniture is like 3 or 4 times older than you and I. The paintings were all creepy. You get upstairs, the master bedroom that we slept in had like, like one of those old like desks in the school where it's like the chair is connected to the desk. Yeah. An old wooden one of that right next to the bed. So my ass is like laying in bed thinking like, if I fall asleep and wake up, someone's gonna be sitting in that chair. The master bathroom, like the lights were in weird places. It was, oh my God. Like it felt like there were weird, like little doors and rooms that like led to nowhere. Oh my God. I was scared.
So basically what you're saying is it wasn't because you were done seeing people. You just didn't want to spend another night in that creepy ass house.
Well, we only had that one for one night, and this was a big house. It was a big house for $80 a night, which if you had like if you could fill it up with 8 guests, like they want you to, like that sounds like it would be a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time for a murder movie.
Because if you have it, like I feel like if there's 8 people in that house, no one's getting murdered as long as everybody sleeps with the doors open.
No, so what happens is in that scenario, if you have the full 8 people, you all fall asleep and you wake up and you go to open the door, and when they open it, it's just like a brick layer. Like there is no exit; it's just a false door. Basically,
it's just a brick in front. Like
yeah,
everyone's bricked in. The ghost was laying bricks in the middle of the night and nobody heard it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, basically, it's like only one can leave.
And it's funny. So Josh, right before the podcast started, I sneezed, and what did you say when I sneezed?
When you die, nothing happens.
So I actually watched a movie about that it's called The Dark House or the Night House. Yeah, The Night House. And it's about this woman, her husband kills himself. And he leaves her a note that's like, hey, you were right. Nothing happens. Nothing is after you. You're safe now. And like with no context, you're like, what the hell?
Fuck?
Well, it turns out she had died when she was younger. And like, you know how like when younger folks die, they're like, oh my God, I saw heaven, mommy and daddy, I saw heaven. She like told her husband, like, I saw nothing. Like there was nothing. And turns out nothing manifested into like a demon that was like haunting the husband, trying to get him to kill his wife for him because he wanted the wife back. So the husband, who was an architect, built a house opposite of their house and was sleeping with other women that looked like his wife and then murdering them to trick this demon for years. And then finally he just got tired of doing it and killed himself.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was like, it wasn't the greatest movie in the world that I've seen, but it was one of those like, oh, wow, that's not something I've seen before.
Dedication.
And then I needed a palate cleanser afterwards, so I watched the Tony Hawk documentary on HBO. I think it's called
How was that?
Tony Hawk Until the Last Wheel Falls Off. It was depressing. It wasn't a palate cleanser at all.
They just added on top of it. Icing to the cake.
Josh, so skating was big in the 70s, and then it falls off in the early 80s, but then it picks up in the late 80s, and then it falls off in the early 90s, picks back up in the early 90s because of the X Games and the Tony Hawk games, falls off kind of a little bit in the 2000s, picks back. It's just these skaters that are like wanting to like chase this passion of theirs, and like it just keeps it was so depressing. And then watching Tony try to listen to me talk to him like he's like in the other room, watching Tony try to land the 900, it was just oh my god, he so many like bails. You got our Doctor Strange tickets, by the way.
Yeah, they're already ordered and everything.
They're here. They're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, literally, we're good. We got middle rows, back at the end. Like, we're set.
It's not a 3-hour movie, is it?
2 hours and 4 minutes.
That's better. I thought it was going to be something ridiculous. Like, I thought they were going to be like, okay, well, we need to set up. For real, like, that's my worry about Marvel dabbling in these TV shows more, is that I feel like the movies will try to, like, ham in, like, an hour for people who haven't seen the shows. It'd be kind of like, oh, here's Wanda. Here's what Wanda's been going through. We're going to waste some time so people who don't have Disney Plus can get caught up.
No, but speaking of long movies, I did finally see The Batman.
Thoughts?
I absolutely enjoyed it, and I thought
I just wanted to kiss Rob the whole time.
Rob is honestly, he was probably one of the best Batman that you could pick.
He's the horniest the Batman has ever made me.
He is, but he's also the green. He made Batman look the greenest, and I actually absolutely enjoy that because Batman right off the bat shouldn't be the best that he is. He is still learning, and this is year two Batman.
Like he's still very much a rookie. Whereas, like if you go back and watch Batman Begins after watching the Batman, you're like, how is he pulling off these moves?
Yeah, no, he shouldn't have been. I think I absolutely enjoy that. Plus, we didn't get too much Bruce, and I honestly think he could do a good Bruce. But the fact that they didn't focus so much on Bruce, it was more focused on Batman. I absolutely enjoyed it.
If you could well, first of all, I didn't realize is that Andy Serkis that's playing Alfred?
I think it is, yeah.
I didn't realize that until someone had said something afterwards. That man just disappears into his roles. Like what if it was just a CGI Alfred? It wasn't actually him. They just like hooked him up in the green suit and said, "All right, go play a butler."
I can do that.
I can do that. Oh, Bruce, I let you down.
He's gonna get like the claw hand when he's doing it.
Why
does he have a claw hand?
But no, I just wanted to hug him and tell him everything was going to be okay.
No, honestly, overall, I don't care what anybody says. That was by far, I think that was better, in my opinion, than the Christian Bale Batmans.
I think each has their highlight and their low light. I tell you what though, like near the end where they like hinted at the Joker, I was like, guys, we don't need to fucking do this again.
I hope they don't. I hope it's just like it's setting something up like for maybe the third movie.
Like
you know what I mean?
I'm tired of the realistic Batman. Like, give me fucking Clayface. Give me fucking Poison Ivy with her plants ravaging the city.
I agree.
Give me one of those crazy like yes, have your realistic world, but like maybe like a mystery around Clayface could just fuck so much up because he's so and so. So like.
It even doesn't have to necessarily be like the Clayface we know. It could be like someone who's just a master of disguise and a good actor. You know what I mean? Like he could just be a serial killer who's, you know what I mean? Like give us something that's similar to that because you can still make Clayface. It just wouldn't be in the sense that everybody's used to. Where
I'm just saying, make it up, go CGI on it. Like fuck, Venom's a thing.
That's true.
And people don't bitch about how wonky that looks. Like, and that guy's like, first of all, not to get off on a tangent too much, but Venom is very into Eddie Brock. Those two love each other.
Like that, but if you're looking at it in a sense, if you're trying to be realistic, technically Venom shouldn't exist without Spider-Man, and they've done that. So it's like you can still have your realism, but also have your you know.
Yeah, like go crazy with it. Like, yes, you've built up this realistic world and it's grimy. And what was the article I read? I think it called it like Crime Camp or Camp Noir. And I was like, yeah, that sounds. It was very like the Batman's a very campy movie, and I know this because they played the same Nirvana song twice.
I mean, yeah.
I didn't realize that was Nirvana until I looked it up after. I was like, what is that song? What is that moody song? I was like, this has to
It
be
sounded like I said, it sounded really familiar when I listened to it, and I was like, man, this sounds oddly familiar. And then I looked up, it's like, hey, it's Nirvana. That makes sense.
a sad Batman listening to one of the saddest musicians. All right, folks. So we could talk Batman all day, but we know we are here for 2008.
Part two.
Last week we started to narrow it down, but we took the chisel. Even right before this, I was like,
Nick took my work and he looked at it and he goes, no good, and he cut me down.
What's the scene from First Class? He's like, show me. I was like, Josh, show me the list, and he pulled it out, and I was like, no, the real list. And he like erased one thing, and I was like, no, the real list. And he whittled it down to what we were at, and I said, perfection. All right, Josh, you ready to get into quarter 2 of 2008?
Let's do it.
Let's fucking do it. All right, so first up, so again, we're looking at more these games, like you look at them and you can see bits and pieces of them in things that you see today.
More influential, basically.
Or it's just something fun to poop on.
Yeah.
and why
at least one of them.
And why it didn't work. So first up, April 10th, we have Mario Kart Wii, which was the Wii's first and only Mario Kart, if I'm remembering correctly. This was correct. The one before this, I want to say, was the DS, right? Because it went Double Dash, DS, which DS was basically an N64 re-release.
Yep.
And then this.
And then this, yeah.
And this was like, was this one of the first games where you turned the Wiimote sideways and?
Yep. And this is actually where they started to get special designs. They actually had like a steering wheel that you would put your Wii remote into it sideways, and then you could play it like that. Yeah. So you had the tracking.
But you still held, was it A or the trigger that made the car go?
Depending on how you did it, you could have set like, so if you had it set like with just the regular controller, I believe it was the 2 button at the bottom right. And so then if you had the full thing where you had like the nunchuck and stuff, it was the triggers.
And so this was year two of the Wii, right? Wii came out in 2007 along with PS3. Yep. Wii was going heavy on the implementation tools. Let's see, they had what was the Zelda for this one at this time?
What do you mean?
What was the Zelda game that came out for Wii? That was that Twilight Princess?
Twilight Princess technically was ported over to it, and then they also had Skyward Sword.
But Skyward Sword wouldn't come until I think 2009.
It's just because towards the end.
So I don't know. I feel like the Wii, like while it was popular because of like Wii Sports and like the different like implementations of the Wiimote, I feel like the Wii was very slow out of the gate.
No, yeah, you definitely don't see all the heavy hitters until like year 2 and beyond. So like this year, you start to see like. Obviously Mario Kart, you get a couple of sports games, and then of course you've got all of the big popular things that made it so popular. Wii Sports, Wii Fit later on down the road, and all the different accessories came with it. Like you had the Wii board, balancing board, the special designs for like first-person shooters for like the Resident Evil Chronicles and all those games.
But even looking like at the list before the show, or just looking at like going back and looking through the games from 2007, 2008, and even 2009, you kind of already, start to see the writing on the wall with all the shovelware.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
Wii was definitely the area to go for lower games that just like, they're trying to get out of the indie market and try to make it onto a platform other than, Well,
and I think the Wii, so I mean, you kind of see it now, like with mobile games. Not so much anymore, because I feel like the people flocking to make a mobile game has kind of waned a little bit. But the Wii was in the zeitgeist. Like the Wii was the thing to get for the holidays, 2008, 2009, I think even 2010. And so you really see all the show, because people are like, oh, the Wii, let's get Resort Casino Wii out so people will buy it. And That's the first I've seen of that, because yes, like you could argue last gen that was the PS2, but it's because the PS2 had such long legs, like from 2000 to 2006, and like I know I know that generation's basically up, but hell, the last PS2 game was 2010. It might even be later than that. PS2 just had such long legs, whereas the Wii was in the news, so people were like, "Fuck, we got to make Wii games, you guys." And
I mean, it's so much more than that. Even it's not just so much the shovelware. It's we're starting to see individuality. Like you're getting all this online play. The like for example, for Nintendo, you were making your Mii's, Xbox 360 and PS3. You had your accounts there. And you're starting to also see like the trophy system in some of those systems as well. So it's like there was just so much to do. Where with the 360 and PS3 was a little more complicated with all of their additional add-ons and gaming. Where the Wii was still like you had your own individuality, but it was a lot easier and tangible to develop in that sense.
and I wonder how much in this era of Nintendo, how much Nintendo is cannibalizing itself, because you already had the DS Mario, the DS Mario Kart. Oh, we went through the whole thing. Let's start. We haven't had that happen before. Oh my God,
that's a first.
We narrowed it down. So you had the DS Mario Kart, like you had, and you also had all the shovelware coming out. So I really wonder, and you saw it with like the Wii U, like people didn't really latch onto the Wii U. 3DS at that time was still very popular. So I just wonder like how much of this era between the Wii U inspired the Switch, and like Nintendo's like, oh, we only need to focus on one, and they basically combining their two fronts instead of just having the two separate like they had for the like Nintendo was doing the two fronts for how long? 10, 15 years?
Yeah, well, longer than that even at this point.
Yeah, because when was the first Game Boy? 96, something like that?
No, I think it was even before that, Nick.
But yeah, they had been split. They had been splitting they had been splitting up the two.
Well, yeah, and then at this point, so this is the era now where we've got, technically you still have the Game Boy Advance, so it's still very popular, like because people didn't want to spend money on the DS. And on top of that, it had the cartridge where you could play both DS and Game Boy Advance games. You had the DS, you had the Wii, and like you said, eventually you start to mix like, okay, well, you just released a Mario Kart, not even 6 months ago. You're already releasing another one for a different console that I don't have. And you start to get this, okay, we're going to buy it. And then by the time the Wii U and the 3DS come out, people are like, we don't want to, we don't want to spend $300 on one system alone just to have the same game, basically. And then, like you said, they start to eventually realize, okay, yeah, we're, instead of making two separate things, let's try to make one combined and make it the perfect thing. And that's what the Switch ended up being.
And I also bring that up because I think this is like the worst selling Mario Kart, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the worst selling.
If it's not this one, I think it's the DS,
which I think is crazy because like the Wii at a certain point had a great install base. You just see Nintendo cannibalizing itself so much at this time period. Moving on, because I could talk about Nintendo and like their business practices all show. April 22nd, we had Turok, which I brought these. So there are a few like this one. I bring this Turok game. This was a reimagining of the series after it had gone dormant for about eight years. Last one was on the N64. So I bring this one up just because like Hollywood at this point was in very deep into getting ready for like a lot of remakes. Like you had Nightmare on Elm Street, I think was 2009. Friday the 13th remake, I think, was going to be the following year. If it wasn't a remake, it was like heavy stylized like torture porn, like Saw or Hostel. Otherwise, like, man, like, would you consider Turok horror? Like, it's a horror series.
This one, I think they tried to aim towards that. Before that, no, I think it was more of like an action type deal.
So Turok, for those who don't know, was a series on Nintendo 64. I think it was on PlayStation. It was, you were like a space marine hunting down dinosaurs on a dinosaur planet. Some of the dinosaurs were like sentient, like very humanoid, can control guns. The highlight of the series was like the different kinds of guns. They were very crazy. It was kind of like Quake or Doom. I don't think Doom was crazy on the guns, but Quake had like these out there like space guns that you could use, and that was the appeal of Turok. I remember one specific gun in like Turok 2 was like a cube that would like
the cube
send like it would like it would send a spike out or it would electrocute somebody. I forget exactly what it did, but I just remember holding a cube and it being very deadly. Whereas if you're looking at this, just looks like a regular old 2008, 2009 period shooter.
I mean, to me, this looks like they took like King Kong and mixed it with Turok. Basically, I mean, am I wrong?
I
That's
like
what it gives me.
the difference is I liked that King Kong game
Because
they
it was a fantastic.
they're just like, oh, by the way, this is the 1920s, so you get a Tommy gun. That's all
you needed.
And that was fun. Whereas this is like, first of all, that guy's already getting hit. I don't even think he's like playing. Oh, his buddies got dragged off. Just standing there like an idiot.
Yeah, we're just gonna walk away, pretend like nothing happened here. Keep moving forward. Yeah,
nothing has happened at all.
Up here's a little cliff. We're gonna jump down, or we're gonna fall down. Something's gonna happen here. Oh, we're gonna jump down. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I wasn't big on Turok. Like I played a little bit of the originals. This one, not so much.
I think the only one I remember really playing was is 2. Is that Seeds of Evil?
Yeah, 2 was Seeds of Evil.
Yeah. So I remember playing a lot of that, and then after that, it just all went downhill. Like I don't remember anything Turok. I think until this came out, and then it's like, oh god, why?
I mean, it just looks rough. It looks like it needed a little more time in the oven before they put it out, but I'm sure they were rushed. I'm sure they were rushed to get it out.
Let's see. It was published by Disney Interactive Studios. That'll let you know why it was rushed. And then developed by Propaganda Games. If memory serves me right, they also did Tron in 2010.
The Tron game, like the
they did
game.
The Tron Evolution, and then I believe they had 2 other games in development and they got canceled. I think it was a Pirates of the Caribbean game, and then I don't know how it's possible, but I think they had originally, before Turok 1 came out, they were greenlit for Turok 2 as well, if it did well, and then ended up getting canceled.
Yeah, they weren't. With that game being in the state that it was, there was no way that they were gonna greenlight anything else from those guys.
No. And then on top of that, I mean, it defunct in 2011. Or they did Propaganda Games.
They had to go. April 29th, we got a banger. Grand Theft Auto 4 came out. I was excited about. So I remember Andrew, Josh.
Yes, I do remember Andrew.
He drove a copy over to me of this. Like I bought it and he went and picked up my copy for me. This was Rockstar's first. So the 360 gen, PS3 gen. This was their first foray into that. This was them redoing Liberty City. This felt more. It had the different boroughs of New York, whereas originally GTA 3 had Liberty City. It just felt like a big city. It didn't feel like the different boroughs. Like you could drive into essentially what was Queens for them, and it'd be like the same sport cars you saw in Manhattan. Now this, like you drive into the different locations, you get the different feels. The soundtrack was very, very late aughts at this point. I remember one trailer. What was it? He was like walking, and like they did the thing where like he's walking, but it's cut like of him in the background, like his background changing where he's at, and it was just very. Oh my god! And this is who is this? The hero of this game is Nico Bellic. He is, I believe, Eastern European.
Really, that is
was it Yugoslavia?
Yeah, Eastern European. You're right.
Okay, so he's just come back from war, looking for a restart. His cousin runs a cabbie company out of are they in Brooklyn at the beginning of the game, and it's Nico coming to start his new life, and he eventually ends up back into the crime world, unwillingly. There's like a revenge story here about someone who wronged him during the war, and you get the opportunity to exact that revenge or like turn the other cheek. Oh my god! I remember the driving being tough in this game as well. It felt very like the cars had a lot more weight to them compared to the last few games in the series.
Definitely drove a little more realistically, because I remember I remember coming home from practice one day and you were playing it, and I thought, oh my god, this is the most beautiful looking game I've ever seen in my life.
This is also Rockstar's last foray. Well, they did it with Red Dead 2 years later, but this is the last GTA that got story based DLC that wasn't implemented into their multiplayer format.
Yeah, but I remember for the driving, and I think they kind of tweaked it a little bit, but for 5, I think it was a little more looser. But with this, I remember if you had a wheel, like if you're driving, getting shot at, and someone popped a wheel, it was almost like you would almost instantly lose control of your car. Like it was almost impossible to get back control until like you slowed down and stopped, and then you could go back again.
Right. Yeah, the driving definitely received like a heavy tweak compared to other stuff. The combat was also very like more towards like games of the time. So like you could take cover behind cars. Like aiming wasn't like this nasty thing like it was in San Andreas. I think they redid the cop portion of it a little bit, so you can see on this screen right now, like if the cops are after you, there's a little area where they're searching for you. You get out of it, you can kind of lose your stars that way. So they take away the importance of needing to use what was it, the spray and pay.
Yeah.
So
and I also, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say they take that away, give you like a better chance of escaping on your own without having to, oh, I need to go find this spray. Oh, there's only one across town.
And I also know like they tweaked it to where if you got past a certain star, so if you got like past like I think star 3, when they start to send out like helicopters after you, and basically it's a SWAT team after you. I know they're a lot more aggressive in their tactics change. I think this one they actually started to implement like the tire stoppers where they'll throw the spikes out and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I remember those.
And then I think they also introduced first time in a long time, I think, because I think they stopped doing it after Vice City, but I think they introduced once you get to the highest rating, you get tanks after you in this one. Because I think Vice City you can only find them, and then I think San Andreas they didn't really. I mean, they had a tank, but it wasn't like indestructible like it was with Liberty or Vice. But I think in this one was the first time they introduced tanks chasing you.
I think so. This game hasn't aged the greatest, but I think I prefer 4 over 5 if I'm being honest.
The one thing I think 5 did better than 4, and it's just because of my knowledge of the old games and how hard they are, is in a mission when you die, even if it's like the hardest mission you're almost done, you don't have to start from the very beginning. Not start from the very beginning. You don't have to go back to where the mission starts and then start the mission. It literally will just let you replay from where you last stopped at.
From a mechanical and like just I forgot what word I was going to use. Oh, shit. Sorry, I got excited when he launched that car into the water. So the replayability is a lot better in 5 just because, you don't have to like trek back across the city after failing a mission. But I feel like 4 has a little more soul to it.
No, it definitely does. I think I was more invested in 4 story-wise because I think at one point, isn't there like, I can't remember what mission it is. I think it's when you go to assassinate the crime lord, one of the crime lord's sons or something. Isn't it like an all-out battle basically between you and the syndicate? Basically,
I think so. I'm blanking on. I remember. So once you get into Manhattan, you're basically choosing between I think it's an up and coming rapper, and then like a drug lord. And if you take on the drug lord, like it's a big battle to kill him. But you and the rapper become like best friends. If you kill the rapper, like he's just sitting in his apartment and he's like, man, you chose him. That's fucked up. And then you get into a fist fight, but you feel the weight of that fight. And the characters, like there are decisions that you make. And yes, there are decisions that you make in 5, but 5 just feels so soulless. And I don't care about the characters outside of the main 3. And maybe that's the point, since 5 is based around Los Angeles and just how grimy Los Angeles looks great. Oh, there's that beautiful map, by the way. Los Angeles looks great, but like on the surface level, it looks great. But then you get down to see the people and everyone's grimy. Whereas this one is, oh, this place looks grimy, but all these people have soul. All these people have dreams that they're chasing. And they're like, New York is a place for all these people to restart. And it's just these people snuffing each other out for a better chance for themselves. Whereas LA or Los Santos, it's just like, we're going to fucking kill you because you suck. I'm hoping GTA 6 kind of gets back to the feel of 4. And I hope they, because I keep hearing it's Vice City, but I'm like, I'd rather it not be Vice City. I'd rather try something new.
No, I agree. I mean, 5 was fun, I think, for the playability, but like you said, for story-wise, I mean, it's not really memorable. Like, so you've got 2 characters who are basically psychotic in their own way, and basically you curse at you every other second, call you motherfucker and cocksucker. And then you get I forget all their names honestly, but the third guy, he's the up and coming, he's trying to make a name for himself.
That's Franklin.
Franklin, thank you. trying to make a name for himself, and it's just like it's just not as memorable. Like where Nico, it's like his backstory is amazing, so he's realistic to a sense, and then it's like he's just trying to live his life, and it just the crime life just sucks him back in. And it's just him trying to get out of it almost.
I do think Franklin's like the most interesting character in 6. Like the mob stories, like I'm a retired mobster, I want out, and then like the opposing mobster, like I'm the heavy mobster, I want to stay in it, and I'm gonna get you back. That story's been done to death. Whereas like I liked the idea, like if they had gotten rid of those other two and just let you play as Franklin, like struggling with those two, that would have been great.
I think that would have been good. Yeah.
Instead of like, because who I forget. So Trevor's the crazy one. I forget. Is it Michael? Michael's the.
I think it's Michael.
Michael's the one like trying to get out. And
yeah, he's the one who like went to the FBI or CIA, and
he's just so whiny, and he's just like, "Oh, my family sucks." Like, yeah, I don't care about you, dude. You're living in this big house, and Franklin's living on Grove Street, like struggling to get by. Like, get fucked.
Yeah, seriously.
May 21st, we jump a whole month to Wii Fit. We had a Wii Fit board, Josh. Did you know this?
I still have one here.
You do? Yes, you do.
I do.
I think the most influential thing about Wii Fit is that it just reminded everyone that Nintendo was willing to do some weird shit that nobody was thinking about.
Well, so this is during the craze, especially in the US, where everybody is like complaining about child obesity and obesity in general. And this was like,
this was right around the time Michelle Obama had that program starting up. It was. I mean, they weren't in office yet, but
she would make a push
for. She would be making a push for that in the next year or two. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, like this is the craze. Like everybody's talking about when you get into fitness and stuff, and it was actually becoming more popular. Plus, you're starting to see the VODs of the training videos and stuff. So this is like Nintendo's attempt to like, okay, well, we're going to get into that market and just try to dabble in it, just enough to make some money. And this is what they came up with, and honestly, people went crazy for it. I remember it was like this is like one of the reasons next to Wii Sports, and then of course all their IPs of why people wanted the Wii so bad, and why it stayed the most sold and possibly impossible to find console for 3-4 years.
The person in this video we're watching has terrible balance, I believe. I think this is a great proof of concept. I don't think, and I know I'm calling it a video game. It's not in a lot of minds of a lot of people. This isn't a game, but I think this is a great proof of concept that eventually led to Ring Fit. The last few, like Ring Fit, people love the hell out of that. I think in the games area, in the games arena, I think Nintendo is above everybody else when it comes to putting stuff out. Like, oh, I didn't know you could do push-ups on it. Oh, do a right plank. Oh, those suck. I don't think I don't think this board would be able to support me if I was doing a right plank on it.
No, we have to try it out, Nick. But I think last time I tried to do any of this stuff, it did not work very well.
I would have to put pads. That's a hard pad. I would need like actual soft padding on that.
Not only that, but like I feel like the board is so unbalanced on the ends. Like if I remember correctly, I'm going to pull out here probably a little bit just to see, stepping on it close to the edge or putting weight on it starts to tilt it.
Yeah, they have the little legs. It's dangerous. I forgot you could pull on it too. I liked where Nintendo's head was with it. I think the most influential thing about it is that it led to Ring Fit, but I also think the most influential thing was people were just simping for a Wii Fit lady. That's why they put her in Smash.
Oh, that's why they put her in Smash.
They're like, people are being creepy about her. Let's just put her in Smash and call it a day.
She has no faith, guys.
You guys have no faith. May 23rd, Haze came out. We pulled this one because, I mean, this is just another one of those military shooters that didn't really. It looks promising. I think these are all it's like honeybee based. It's what their design's based off. They just look stupid. They look so dumb.
Well, so if Nick, I don't remember this correctly, but we're at the time where people were trying to make the Halo killer.
Yeah, this was not a Halo killer.
But remember, that's what they were going for. So at this point, everyone, Halo is, it's
Halo
the
3,
top.
Halo 3 was at the top of its game. Call of Duty was just like Call of Duty was beating if anything's a Halo killer, it would. There's two things that are a Halo killer: Call of Duty, and then Halo after Halo Reach.
Yeah.
Everything else is just not even a nice. I'm not even gonna give them a nice try. It's just
So what people shut this game so much? I love the concept, and I don't remember the plot of this one at all. Really, essentially, you're soldiers who are working for a corporation that has this new drug that's called Nectar. It's supposed to be like a supplement that helps you like with fighting and stuff.
I
And I
remember
believe
I remember the nectar spin on it. I forgot that it was a drug though.
yeah. So I believe the whole plot itself was like, oh, this sounds really cool. But what they lost everybody in was the look and the gameplay. I think it could have been like if they just spent a little more time focusing on the gameplay and the design of everything. Like the character design is fantastic. The whole they look like bees and stuff. I absolutely love it. I love that yellow face
It's
shield.
so
like
dumb.
it's so
This
it's
is
dumb,
also
but it's
this was
so
also
cool.
peak B movie time, by the way.
Yes. This is
Unfortunate for them.
fresh after the B movie.
I can't. It just looks like a generic shooter at the time. I think so. Yeah, a lot of stuff is labeled as a Halo killer, but I think a lot of people saw what Fear did as well, and they were like, "Oh, we can kind of." Because what were these all? What is the engine for Counter Strike and Fear and all those games?
For Counter Strike and Fear, that's the wait.
Is it the Source engine?
I think it's the Source engine. Yeah.
They just all have that like. They all have that look, and maybe it's just because aiming down the sights wasn't like the standard yet, but they just have this look about them, like bland forest. Oh, you played Far Cry? You like Far Cry? All right, we'll put a woods area. Oh, you liked being scared? We'll have this scary character jump out at you.
Well, but remember this though, Nick. These are the same guys. This is Free Radical. They did all the Time Splitters.
Okay.
And then after all this, after Haze, they go on to become part of Crytek UK and work on like Crisis 2, the Crisis Port, Crisis 3, and Warface.
My hot take is I don't like Crisis either.
Okay, so I can understand 3, 2 partially. 1 is such a fantastic game. You cannot shit on 1 too
I think
much.
it was just a game that PC gamers like to drool over because they're like, oh my god, it's running it.
Even nowadays, the original is still like hailed as like the go-to game to test like all your stuff, and it's like I don't see that, but okay. I mean, I can see it because it's oh my god, honestly, it's a power chugger. It destroys your PC.
Let's see here. It would probably destroy mine. June 3rd, Ninja Gaiden 2 came out. This was another great go at Ninja Gaiden. They still have the source code on this. Hopefully, they don't lose it like they lost the source code for 1.
I would.
There's a bunch of different weapons you can play through. I remember trying to play through. This game got tough. I remember beating the first 2 or 3 levels and then getting to the werewolf levels and just stopping. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this compared to the first one is much easier.
I couldn't even I couldn't even point out the bosses to you in this game if I tried.
I think I can only point out one, and I think it's like a thunder demon.
I think I know which one you're talking about. So yeah, they just were like, hey, we need another Ninja Gaiden. Like Xbox 360 already had a great like library going, but they kept it going. They had a lot of variety at this point. And I think this was like, I don't know how you put out Ninja Gaiden 2 and then like get like its reception and then be like, all right, whatever the fuck 3 was, they're like, all right, here's what we're going to do to 3 to make it different.
Oh, 3 was just a hot mess. Honestly, 3 is the only one I've truly beaten 100% and was just disappointed. I was just like, wow.
Have they done anything besides these Ninja Gaiden games?
Team Ninja, so they actually just did, I believe they helped with the new Final Fantasy that came out.
Okay.
The Stranger of Paradise Fantasy Origin. They did Ninja Gaiden. They helped do Neo and Neo 2. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
So they
Dead or Alive.
They're still sticking around and doing things. They weren't like, oh, we're all out of gas. Sorry, guys.
No, but like I'm honestly looking at their catalog now, even pulling it up. So you've got all the Dead or Alives. Then you get to Ninja Gaiden, then you get another Dead or Alive. Then you get Ninja Gaiden Black. Then 2 more Dead or Alives. 4 Ninja Gaidens. Then they actually helped do Metroid Other M. I totally forgot about that.
I forgot they helped with that.
Then you get another Dead or Alive. Then Ninja Gaiden 3, 2 Ninja Gaiden 3s because they had the regular, and then you had the Razor's Edge, which was like
Team
the ultimate
Ninja
version.
is just horny as fuck.
Then you have more Dead or Alives, and then it goes to Hyrule Warriors, 2 more Dead or Alives, Dissidia for Final Fantasy, another Dead or Alive, Neo. I mean, dear God, like every other game's a Dead or Alive. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys, we get it. You love Dead or Alive.
Guys, we get it. You like Dead or Alive.
And apparently they did a Ninja Gaiden Master Collection.
Yeah, and that's the one. I believe that's the one where they had where Ninja Gaiden 1 is actually Ninja Gaiden Black because they don't have the original source code.
Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
Okay. I forget that Sigma and Black are 2 separate things.
Yeah, so they had Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and then Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
But they all those games you just listed off, they don't have the source code for any of them. All gone.
All gone.
On June 12th, the final Metal Gear Solid game came out. That's right, Metal Gear Solid 4, The Guns of the Patriots. This was it. No more Metal Gear Solid after this, you guys. He's not doing... Nope, no more. Hideo Kojima was done after this one. Right, Josh? Sure. Why not?
Technically, sure.
So as resident Metal Gear Solid super fanboy, I have to admit, I haven't played this one. I played like the first 10 minutes and just never got back into it.
This is the 4th one I've beaten. Literally. Not in that order, of course, but...
I had a PS3 for a very short window of time, played for 10 minutes, decided I wanted to beat God of War 3 instead, and then PS3 exited my life as fast as it showed up.
I think this was like the 3rd PS3 game I owned, because I remember buying a PS3. I picked up this, I picked up Killzone 2, and then I think I picked up God of War 3.
I do think this is like every Metal Gear Solid has had a terrorist unit that you're fighting. I think this one has the worst. It's the Beauty and the Beast. So this for those who have played the Metal Gear, Metal Gear Solid 3 had a camo function in it, and they really doubled down on the camo here because Snake has a what would you call it? Like a suit that like if he were to lay down on a patch of dirt, his suit takes the color of that patch of dirt. Yeah,
it's basically like nano machines that just blend in with the environment. So if he's laying flat, it'll turn his suit that same color. So it helps you blend in.
And a lot of the game takes place in a war zone. There's like Metal Gear with like sexy legs walking around. They're called geckos. It's hours and hours of trailers. Like for those watching the video version of this, it's been nothing. I could click forward, but it's been nothing but a cutscene.
Yeah, so I was looking for videos of it. Literally, the first video was nothing but cutscenes except for 2 minutes of gameplay, and I was like, Jesus Christ! So I had to keep scrolling through until I found one that had like actual gameplay. So this is like, I think half of this is gameplay. So
I did watch. So they also dumped like Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence they were experimenting with the camera being behind Snake or movable around Snake, and they went all in on it for this one. They're like, no, we can't have like the overhead camera. It's really limiting. And this eventually led to how Metal Gear Solid 5. I know I said it was the last one. So Hideo thought so as well. Hideo thought so as well. I watched videos for each boss fight in this one, and it was just so.
The only boss fight I absolutely enjoy, and it's the part leading up to it, is when you're in Metal Gear Rex.
Okay, yeah, Metal Gear Rex and Ray fight. There was one particular one. I think it's called the Crying Wolf or the Screaming Wolf. You fight it. So you go back to Shadow Moses from Metal Gear Solid 1. Spoiler alert. And you end up fighting this mechanical wolf that like spits out a person to snipe you. And it was just the longest, most drawn out fight. Like I get it, it's a sniper fight, but then you also have like a pet peeve of mine with boss fights is having a boss fight where like other NPC like enemies show up to disrupt the fight, just because I'm like, oh, this wasn't challenging, so you just added people to distract you. Cool. I've always hated that.
I agree, but the one thing I absolutely enjoy in this game, and I've seen it twice now, if you're crawling and you hold it just slightly in the direction you're going, he moves like a worm. It's hilarious. It just cracks me up.
I hope he does. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. It just cracks me up because it's like, so for those who don't know, it's only been, I think, like 5 years since the Sons of Liberty incident. And I bet you're wondering, why does Snake look old? Well, spoiler alert, he has Fox dye in his system, and it's actually rapidly increased his cells aging process. So he's actually only 30 something in this game, but his body is aged to like 50 something.
Oh, that homie got wasted. He's
And I
still
think they,
going. He's still
and I think if
reaching.
I remember correctly, Nick, he finds out he only has like a year left before Fox Die kills him, and if he dies, like it's supposed to spread across the world and kill everyone.
That sounds like something that Konami would like put out there. Is like, hey, if you die, you're gonna spread this shit. Kind of like when people die in Death Stranding and they explode.
Yeah. So the whole idea of this game is he's trying to basically stop Liquid Ocelot, who is inside of Revolver Ocelot.
I do like that he faked that the whole time. He was like, "Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, spoiler! It was supposed to be like gene therapy, psychosis. Like he just did a bunch of stuff like psychotherapy stuff to like become Liquid, but he really wasn't. It was basically like Ocelot was just trying to help Big Boss the whole time. Spoiler alert! But
Ocelot is the true homie."
well, let's not forget. Okay, I take it back. The second best boss fight of the whole entire game is the very last boss fight between you and Ocelot.
Oh yeah, because it changes your health bar from like what it looked like in each game in the series, which I thought was
Yeah.
cool.
And then when you're doing certain fight, when you get to a certain point, like you do like not a flashback, but kind of like a flashback to what they would look like when they were fighting, and then it would cut right back to the game, but it'd be like the next game's health bar and stuff.
I will eventually play it. Eventually,
I'll make sure you get a copy, Nick.
June 19th, Super Mario Sluggers came out for Wii. So we talked about this earlier. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Mario like doing sports. It's a fun distraction for the children in the house and maybe the adults if you have some friends over and don't like want to play a baseball game but don't want to mess with. Oh, okay, I'll be the Yankees, you be the Giants. Da, 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 da. But I don't know, man. If I'm playing on the Wii, I'd rather be playing like Zelda or a Metroid or like a regular Mario game. I'm not trying to have Mario go yard at freaking St. Delfino Field or whatever the hell it's called.
No, so in my opinion, there's only two sports games Mario should be doing. Racing, so
Okay.
karts.
Okay, all right. I wouldn't consider that a sport, but okay.
Strikers, the soccer.
I want Mario cheerleading. God damn it! If we're putting all these sports out, Mario needs to be a cheerleader. I want it. Make it happen.
With the Switch controllers, it's a very possible thing now.
I know they have the technology. Nintendo, stop holding out. Get the real sport representation out here. They're putting out a new Mario baseball, I feel like. Or they just did. I know they're doing a new soccer one.
Yeah, I know a new soccer, but I don't remember about the baseball one.
I think baseball came out last. I know. See, there's so many fucking Mario. He's playing too many sports. He needs to do what they tell the kids to do in high school. He needs to pick a sport and just play one other one, and that's it. Just two sports. He needs to be a two-sport guy, or else he's never going to master a skill that he can take into college. Mario, come on, man.
Well, first off, Mario's a little too old to be playing for college.
No, he's not.
Mario
served in the Mushroom Kingdom Army military. His NCAA clock does not start until he gets to college now.
Well, it's going to be that technical.
Mario, if you're here, you can't technically have an agent, but I will be your agent under the table. All right.
Nick, before we go forward, Nick, can you tell me one big company that developed the game?
Developed the game?
Yeah.
Nintendo's pretty good with Ubisoft and Capcom. I'm going to guess Ubisoft.
Nope. Namco Bandai Games.
See, I would never get. I didn't know
that
they were in bed
either.
with Namco. I didn't know they were in bed with Namco.
I mean, I knew to an extent they were, but I didn't think that extent. I didn't realize they were helping with sports games.
But also in that same breath, like that seems backwards to me because it would feel like Namco would do. So like Ubisoft did like a turn-based strategy game with them. Namco did a sports game with them. I would have thought it would have been reversed.
You would think.
June 20th, Alone in the Dark came out. This was a gritty remake. And they did a movie of this too, didn't they?
Yes, it was terrible.
I like the look of this game. The look of this game is the thing that stands out to me the most. Otherwise,
are you talking about the dark themes, or are you talking about the character design?
They're very cartoony looking. That elevator just reached out for that man. Or oh god, where'd he go? Oh, okay, he grabbed on. The lighting was just very weird. Who put this out, Josh? This is rough.
So this is Eden Games developed and was published by Atari. So let's see what Eden Games did because I
Are they
don't.
doing anything since this?
Oh yeah, okay. So they helped do like the V rallies. They helped do Kaya Dark Lineage, Test Drive Unlimited. Um, the most recent stuff they did was Gear Club Unlimited 2 and F1 Mobile Racing.
I'm waiting for them to have their
2018.
breakout title because this ain't it.
Well, V rallies were probably their
This
ones
is just
because
very. So they're doing the third person switch to first person thing, and it's very nauseating, especially when you have like all the camera shaking they're doing, the enemies popping out from everywhere. This is rough.
yeah, like, well, okay. So first off, the movie is not that good. Like, I would not recommend it.
Spoilers.
This right, yeah, spoilers. This right here, I mean, so visually it doesn't look that bad. I mean, yes, I know it's 2008, so we got to be a little careful about
The
how we.
lighting looks the lighting coming out of those blinds is fine. The fire is
Yes,
rough. I keep every time I see the fire, I'm like, turn away.
yeah, turn away from the fire. But otherwise, like, or even like this looking to cabinets and then being able to like that's really annoying. Like either like you said, like make it first person, make it third person. Don't give me the switch. Like this, if you were doing this is fine.
This looks
Just
like
switch.
this looks like a game that they're like, we like Resident Evil, but we also like Fear, and they couldn't decide what direction they wanted to go in.
Okay, so actually, I was just thinking about that. Remember the old Resident Evil 4 trailers we got where it showed Leon fighting like the dark shadow things?
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't zombies, it wasn't
Yeah,
the
there was like a hook
what's going on.
creature.
Yes, that's what this reminds me of. Is that?
I put some respect on those old trailers of Resident Evil 4. I think they're going back
Oh,
to
I'm
that
not
for
saying it's a
Resident Evil
bad.
4, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think they're like we
Okay.
want to lean more on the horror, but this is just, yeah. Look, that guy just. I can't.
He got
I can't
yeeted.
anymore.
He
I,
got yeeted.
I can't anymore with this game. Moving on. We are moving on to the next one. Got to get it off my computer. Battlefield Bad Company came out on June 23rd, PS3 and Xbox.
Such a beautiful game, beautiful series, honestly.
People love the shit out of these. I'm trying to skip ahead out of the trailer sequence. There we
So,
go.
so there's a reason why people love this. Not only
Is it the destructible buildings?
so the destructible buildings are part of it. The multiplayer is fantastic, especially Bad Company 2's.
I
I
remember
miss
Bad
it.
Company 2. People like, I think people still play the hell out of that.
Honestly, I've tempted between how bad Battlefield 5 has been in the past few, or how 2042 has been in the past. Others like 5 and 1 have not been that good. But it's not just the destructive environments and the gameplay itself. Just if you ever have a chance to just watch like a long play of someone playing it, the script writing is fantastic. Like it takes like the seriousness of war and gives it like a good like it gives you like Saving Private Ryan, like the actiony stuff going on, and gives you some comedy. Like some really good comedy. It's hilarious. I absolutely love the writing in this series.
Just for
One
these
is a
two,
little more.
I feel like it fell off at probably after these two though.
Yeah, well, people want Bad Company. I want Bad Company 3 to come out because we're the way they ended too. So like one, they could have that's kind of like ambiguous sort of. Two, they definitely have to where there's definitely going to be a third, but we just don't know when it's ever going to happen. But so like one is a little more serious, so it's not nearly as funny. It's like two is like more comedy, but this is like the perfect combination, and two is just as good.
I think this seems fine, and I remember liking the characters in this. I think we are starting to shift away from war games though. Just with the state of the world, like Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty comes out this year, but then they're skipping next year, and that might just be like a hey, we're getting acquired by Microsoft thing. But I do think we're seeing like a shift away where like if you're shooting anything that isn't an alien or a big gross monster, I think people are going to start shying away from those, especially with what's going on right now.
Which I can understand, but at the same time, people need to realize that stuff like this, it's not meant to like say that war is good or anything like that. It's just a sense of telling a story. Like yes, I know it involves war. I know people are going to be dying, but it's not. We're not actually showing real footage of people dying. We're not showing real lives being torn. It's just what it looks like in the perspective of if you're looking like if you want to be a Hollywood star in an action movie with war, this is the closest you're going to get to it.
Right, but I feel like games like this used to thrive off of the fact that like dumbass parents would go to the store and be like, Minecraft or Battlefield Bad Company. That sounds more fun.
Well, that's still the problem nowadays, though, is that people don't do their research. They're just like they hear their kids. Like I remember when we were kids, we're like, "Hey, can we get Grand Theft Auto San Andreas?" Mom and Dad didn't care.
Hey,
They
that was
bought it.
Santa. That was Santa who brought it. Don't blame
Oh,
mom
I'm
and
sorry,
dad.
Santa brought that. Sorry,
Santa
I
brought
forgot.
that. Put some respect on Santa.
But it's like that. Like there's a reason why there's an M or a T. Like there's a reason for all that. It's not to just oh we don't want to get fined. No, it's hey, if you don't want your kids to see people dying or have to talk to them and stuff, don't buy them this game.
But
Don't
but
just
at the same time, like how many people are like how many times have like you might be different because I know you go in and buy games, but how many people are actually going in and buying games, and how much of it now is like, oh mom, I need the credit card to buy this, and then they buy it, and then like maybe, oh, what are you buying on Steam? Oh my God, you're killing people in this game. Oh no.
then why do you go back and blame the company who developed it or published it rather than blaming yourself? Like as an adult who doesn't have kids, I obviously don't understand yet, but I'm looking back at our past experience and going, I know to do my research. I know to be like, okay, well,
Said the man
I'm not gonna get my
said the man who bought Battlefield 2042.
that was okay. No, screw you. That was like me just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, and they basically just shat on me.
They pulled your pants down and spanked your bottom.
But at the same time, like I said, I can't blame the company for me saying, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance. Like I'm gonna blame them for all the shit they did, but I'm mad at myself for buying it at the full price.
When I think the company's gonna be like, hey guys, war's on the way out. We need to do more platformers right now. And then Conker's Bad Fur Day gets greenlit.
Oh my god, I love if they did. Only if they did.
They're just like, it's just gonna be squirrel on squirrel action. One last game. This is Josh's Pony Show, June 26th, Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World. Josh, give the people what they want.
All right, everyone. So this is the direct sequel to the I think it was 2003 game on the GameCube. Set like what 10? I think it's 10. No, it's 5. It's a few years after it. It's the same map, some new characters, some new enemies. It's just on the Wii. Nothing really new here. I put it in here because honestly, this was like the first example of a sequel for them. So like like how Final Fantasy isn't known for their sequels. Like the closest thing we got to a sequel for the longest time was X and X2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had prequels or sequels like Dirge of Cerberus for Final Fantasy VII or Crisis Core, the prequel for Final Fantasy VII. So like this is just something. It was something new that was we weren't familiar with it. It's in the series, the franchise, because let's face it, Tales of Symphonia by far one of the best of the Tales series. And then from there, it gets kind of ambiguous between all of them. But it's just really good. The gameplay was still, the same. Nothing changed. The Wii didn't do anything to like make it stick out, if that makes sense. Like how I told you most games in the Wii utilize the motion sensor.
Mm-hmm.
There really wasn't anything for that. I think the only thing that was different is I think you could have the controls be when you sliced, it would actually do the basic attack.
I think anyone playing this game was probably using the nunchucks probably.
Oh yeah, no, they're like, or no, I don't even say that. I would say they're just using a GameCube controller. That's what they're used to for the first for Tales of Symphonia.
I forget they had the port for that. GameCube controllers got the most mileage out of any controller in
easily
in console history. I feel like.
I feel like the Xbox One controllers are going to be right behind it, seeing as the Series X and S controllers are basically the same thing. They just have an additional button.
I think when like the whatever space race comes and finds this world after we've all been like melted away, they're going to be like digging through something and find like a GameCube controller in perfect condition, and that'll be like the artifact of our civilization.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, nothing sticks out in this game. It's like I said, just a sequel, something we hadn't seen for the franchise, and it's just honestly, if you haven't played any of the Tales games, highly recommend picking one up. Even the newest one, I enjoyed it as well. So, bless you.
Thank you. I didn't want to sneeze on the mic. So that is 2008, the second half of 2008. We'll get to the third half of 2008 next week. We got some quick news though. Quick news. Boop, 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 boop. Josh, you ready for some news? Boop, 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 boop.
I am, but there really isn't much news, guys. Like I said last one, part one.
Read all about it. Latest football scores. Morning paper, morning star. Paper, mister?
It's time for old news.
None of the news appears until like after, when July hits. All of a sudden, you have all these huge announcements, all these huge things. You got E3 and stuff like that. So like the beginning of the year is like really slow.
So let's see, May 13th through the 15th, 2008, Ion Game Conference. They should have just called it the Iona. Iona. So basically, their focus that year was on multiplayer gaming, mobile, casual games. Sounds like, so they have what they talked about listed, but it sounds like a generic overview of everything at the time. Because this is almost iPhone time, so I mean, we're getting ready for the mobile incoming of gaming.
Right, and the multiplayer is actually picked up a lot. Like with this point, where there's, if you don't have a multiplayer system in your game that's not online capable, basically you were losing revenue. People did not want to buy it.
And then the last piece of news we got here, June 28th, Blizzard Entertainment announces Diablo 2 in Paris, France. I read that as in like Diablo 2 is set in Paris, France. No, that's where they announced it.
3, Nick. You keep saying 2.
Did I say 2? I'm sorry, I meant 3.
You said 2 twice.
No, well, you know what? It's Diablo. It'll always be Diablo 2 in my heart.
Okay.
I don't know why they didn't announce that in BlizzCon.
I think they were trying to get people hyped up.
Like for it to come to BlizzCon to see like some of the game. Because BlizzCon is what, late summer?
Yeah, because they just, all they did was announce it. I don't think they released like a trailer or anything for it. And I think at BlizzCon, that's when they introduced like the trailer and maybe some gameplay.
Gotcha. I mean, Diablo 3 is fine. I know people love it or hate it.
Yeah. I thought 2 was better, personally. But
that is the news. All right, so
that's news.
We're gonna go get set. So we're doing a speed cap today. Doing a speed cap for Dark Sector that Josh decided last time. I'll be doing it. Josh will be scoring it. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to get that set up. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, we're back. Okay, so we're doing a speed cap. So the speed caps will be usually we'll have a quiz at the end of a calendar that we're reviewing. So it's still going to be every 2 weeks, but sometimes it'll be a quiz, sometimes it'll be a speed cap. Today I'm doing Dark Sector, chosen by Josh because he won last week's quiz. And we're doing 15 minutes today because it's a shorter game, a little lighter on the plot compared to other games, but it's going to be a good time. Josh has put together a sheet. I'm going to throw it up here. I'm not looking, I'm not cheating, it's just there. That is the sheet. We're going to put a PDF of that up for you guys in the show notes so you can play along, so you don't have to strain to read that, because Google Sheets is not very friendly when you're zooming in.
No, it is not.
It is not. So I have the clock ready. Josh, are you ready?
I'm as ready as we can be.
All right, let me get my clock here going. I'm kind of nervous about this one because I remember like some stuff, but some of the details kind of like faded from my memory. I
agree. When I was doing the review and looking it up, I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot that happens." I was like, oh, "Yeah, I got my mind blown a couple times." So I'm like, "Oh man, this is something like I'm happy that they didn't make this and they went into Warframe, but at the same time, part of me wants the sequel."
I always forget that these guys are still around.
Yeah, they went into Warframe, and Warframe is doing a lot better.
Because Warframe is still really big, right?
Yeah, first off, free to play. Secondly, there's so much you can do to it. I mean, there's people on there that I've watched videos of people who don't spend any money on it and just play the game to get everything. And it blows my mind how most free to play games, you end up having to pay like some money, paying some money to get some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the examples of, as long as you play the game enough, you don't ever have to pay for stuff ever.
That's how I feel about Gwent. Gwent, you start out bad, but if you just keep pushing through, you'll get enough points to where you don't have to spend money. That being said, I have spent money, so don't judge me.
But and on top of this, there's so much you can do. They keep adding new stuff that's great content. Honest, guys, give it a try if you haven't, or at least watch a video. It's really good.
All right, we are going to do 15 minutes. Clock is set. Come on, clock. And we are going to do this. Here we go. Go. And it'll pop up when it hits 15. I will start. All right, so Dark Sector came out in 2008. Digital Extremes did it. They're the guys behind Warframe that everybody loves. I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't really played it myself. The main character is Hayden. What'd you say his last name was? It is is it Tenno? Hayden Tenno, and he's an agent. He is there to stop this guy named Victor. He's gonna do something bad, and there's another guy. What's his name? It is I think it's like Robert Mendez. So Aiden's there to stop Victor. Hayden's kind of an asshole. He's like the CIA type operative person. He communicates with this AD guy about his meeting. There's a virus he's trying to stop. It's called the Technolite. So basically he tracks Victor down to this island called, it's like a fictional country outside of the Soviet Union. Is it Lazria? Something like that. And, so he kills Victor. Hayden, like I said, is an asshole. So Victor's dead, but this other guy, the Robert Mendez guy, he captures Hayden at one point and has his goon Nemesis, which is this tall metal looking motherfucker with the two-sided glaive, stabs Hayden, and Hayden's arm gets infected. And now Hayden like grows this like 3-pronged glaive that he can throw at enemies and disembowel them and dishead them, and it's used for puzzles. It's really sweet. So basically the whole game is Hayden trying to stop this Robert Mendez guy from sending out this virus around the world. He works with this woman named Nadia, who she's kind of like the Ada Wong stand-in, like, you know, Ada from like the Resident Evil series with Leon. Like, is she good? Is she bad? Who knows? More on that later. He works with her to try and stop him. There's a radio transmission going out through a church. Hayden goes in to stop that. And I think this is where the first boss pops in. It's like a gorilla-looking guy. So this Technolite virus gives people powers. And there's some guys that have these so-so powers, but like there are these boss monsters that like there's this one tough gorilla that you fight in a church. You kill him and you get like I think it's like this melee move that's really powerful. You stop what's going on in the church, you stop the transmission, and you end up on a tanker, which I think the tanker portion of this game is the best part. There's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of ambushes, and you find this other enemy that's like this gecko that can go invisible, and this thing is fucking terrifying. I think it's tearing through other dudes, not just stalking you, but terrifying and killing other dudes. And then it like starts to sink the tanker with everybody in it, and you end up fighting it. I remember that being a very tough fight. I remember going through that a lot. This is a tough game. This is not an easy game. So you fight that. You eventually find out that the nemesis that stabbed you earlier was actually the Natalie girl, the Nadia girl that I mentioned earlier. There's another person, I forget her name. She helps you. I think she's a sleeper agent. What's her name? Is it Yargo or something like that? That's working with Robert, but she's a sleeper agent for you guys. She's like, hey, you're not gonna be able to beat the nemesis without like a metal suit, like the one it has. You get a metal suit, and you basically look like a badass. It basically looks like you're on the Warframe cover. So you go and fight the nemesis. You end up beating the nemesis, finding out it's Natalie, and killing her. And then you get to Robert. Fuck, why do I keep forgetting this guy's name? This is a tough one. You get there. You're getting more powerful. You're finding out that like this virus is supposed to like contaminate your mind, just like everyone else you've seen that's had it. And it's funny because you're like this asshole that everyone's like, oh, fuck this guy. And so you should be like the easiest person to contaminate, but it's having the opposite effects on you. It's making you a better person. You eventually you catch up to what's his nuts. Robert Mesner. You kill him. You stop like the transition of this stuff from going out, and this game is basically superhero. Like the superhero origin story of Hayden. There's some multiplayer in there. There's a version of it where it's Hayden versus everybody, which is kind of like a precursor to the Evolution, Fable, Legends games that would be coming out 5 years later or getting canceled 5 years later. There was a team with a Hayden versus another team with a Hayden. That was a lot of fun as well. You could use the glaive. You could catch it on fire. Get nitrogen on it. Liquid nitrogen on it. You could electrocute it and hit enemies with it. What else? There was this deal. So this game was a blatant RE4 clone. There was a merchant there. Like you'd go into the store to see him and buy guns. He'd be like, "Hey, Yankee Doodle came to town riding on his pony." Like he'd say stupid shit like that, and you're like, "Who the fuck wrote this?" And it was fun. Like the mechanics were, you could take cover. You couldn't blind fire though, so it was very Gears of War in the fact that you could take cover, but it wouldn't you could throw the glaive, but it wouldn't let you blind fire, which you would think that'd be like, oh no fucking way, like throw the glaive, blind fire, nope, sorry, not happening. What else? What else about this game? This Xbox 360, PS3, it's on PC for $10 on Steam. I'm thinking about buying it after this because I want to play it again. It was very middling. So this game was originally like a sci-fi game. Original trailers showed like Hayden in space and like a suit that's very much like his final suit in the game. But this is a very different game compared to what it was. I think Warframe is closer to what that original trailer was. And I think, is there anything else I want to touch on? You know what? I'm gonna yield my time.
Are you sure?
At 8 minutes, my brain has excreted everything that I can remember from my research a few days ago.
Okay.
I yield my time. Let the board know that I yield my time with 8 minutes remaining. Go.
All right. So, first point, you got the setting right. It is last three supporter of Soviet Union. You got Hayden Tenno. He's the main character. Robert Mesner is the antagonist. Yargo Mesnik is the supporting character. You got half points. You only got Yargo. You got AD right. You got Nadia right. One name. You know you were messing with Natalie and stuff, but you got Nadia right. Weapon glaive. You got a full credit for that. Moving down, you got the part where he's looking for Victor, basically, who's like an informant. We move down. You're right. He didn't rescue him. He ended up executing him because he's a loose end. Ends up fighting Mesner's resistance. Got full credit. Moving down, you got half credit for this next part. You did talk about fighting the humanoid nemesis, but you didn't mention the C4 charges he plants in the building. Going down to the next one, full credit for he ends up waking up after becoming unconscious, gets stabbed in the arm, and becomes infected with the tennesite. Then escaping. You were full credit for the next part of and his arm being mutated with it, and then contacting his superior AD. Half credit for the next one. You mention him meeting up with Yargo, but you didn't mention the fact that he gives him a booster shot and then ends up fighting off an ambush of soldiers and then producing the glaive itself. Then we go on down to another half credit for the infection spreading and the progression of like the moves and stuff, like learning how to throw the glaive and call it back and stuff. But you didn't mention that Mesner telepathically talks to you throughout the deal. Eventually, you didn't get this next part, but he does get the booster shot and gets updated orders and stuff. He doesn't take the booster yet. Moving down, half credit for talking about going to the church and destroying the transmitter. You got that right, and talking to Nadia. But you forgot to mention that he ends up having to fight off infected and stays away, blah, blah, blah. Next part, half credit again. You did talk about getting onto the freighter and fighting the lizard monster thing. I forget exactly what they call it. But you not mention that Yargo ends up getting captured and interrogated. Moving forward, same thing here, no credit. You find out that Nadia's looking for the vault and is interrogating Yargo, who knows where it's at. Moving down, you didn't mention the fighting through the train station to find Yargo, and then going through like an intense technosite-induced pain, and he ends up taking the booster shot. Mm-hmm. Going forward, no points. You find out that the Yargo laced his booster shots with a special chemical because Mesner had a similar situation that happened, and he was afraid that you would become Mesner or like Mesner, where you lose your mind. You end up not. Next part, you didn't talk about how he wakes up there. Yargo tells him all this stuff, and then finds out that he can get him a suit just like the Nemesis suit at the bottom of the Vazro research facility. But you have to clear out the infected. You did talk about him fighting Hayden fighting Nemesis, and you did mention that it is Nadia who's under the suit. So you have full credit for both of those. You did not mention that Hayden rendezvous with AD, and AD basically made a deal with Mesner and then gives Hayden the booster shot for the road. And he kind of pisses off Hayden because he's like, this is all for nothing then, basically. And then injects him with the booster, which ends up killing him. And then, of course, Hayden fighting Mesner, killing him, and then the whole like setting up. This is his hero story, his hero origin story.
Is he in Warframe at all?
I actually don't know that. I don't. The only thing I know of mention of him is his last name Tenno. I actually haven't looked into it, and there might be some like Easter eggs for it, but other than Tenno, I don't think I've noticed anything for it.
I'd be curious to see if he's in there. I might have to do some research on my own. What was my score?
So you got 35 points. You did a lot better than I thought. There are some pieces you missed, but really you hit a lot of the full point ones. That's what saved your grace.
Hell fucking yeah. Fucking 35 points on a game that I read about a few days before.
You played 14 years ago.
And I played it 14 years ago. I just remember.
Does that make you feel old?
See, 14 is how I would have been 16. Yeah, makes me feel old. Thanks, asshole.
You're welcome.
Thanks, you fucking dick. So that is part 2 of 2008. Next week, I don't know if Jake will be back. Hopefully, we'll see if he is.
Maybe it's not like he wouldn't be, but
what do you say? His stuff will be up on the night. So we might be one more episode sans Jake, but then we will be non-sans Jake in like 2 weeks. So next week we take a look July, August, September. So kind of a dry period. We might narrow down games a little more to even shorter list.
There's that many games. Honestly, there's more news than games at that point. So
Yeah.
we're getting more into the in-depth stuff of the news.
And I'm excited about the last 2008 because one of my favorite games of all time came out at the end of the year.
Oh no, I am looking at the list. There's some bangers in there.
Okay. Well, I'm still looking forward to the October, November, December episode because, like I said, one of my favorite games of all time came out in that time period. I won't spoil it. You'll just have to wait until that episode to find out. Maybe I'll tease you with it next week. As always, I am Nick Fat Knight on Twitch. You can find me at That Kaufman on Twitter. A little light on the stream side this week. I might be doing a writing stream on Thursday. Otherwise, I'm out of town for work a lot this week. Might also play some Iron Harvest. It's been a minute since I streamed it. So, Josh, where can the people find you, and when are you streaming?
You can find me on Twitch under I'm Josh Saying. I'm trying to get a series set up for this week. It'll probably be Tuesday. Or no, it won't be Tuesday. Sorry, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Okay. Do you know what you'll be playing?
Not yet.
Okay.
To be determined.
Well, stay tuned. Keep an eye on the Discord channel. Keep an eye on Josh's Twitter. His ghost town of a Twitter right now, but keep an eye on his Twitter.
I'm actually branding that, so I'll end up being a new one there too.
Okay. All right, everybody. This is Smashing Game Time. We hope you guys had a smashing game time with us today. We'll see you next week. Goodbye,
Everyone.